Welcome to day 4 on our 12 days of Zentangle in project pack number 2. I'm Rick,
I'm Maria.
and today we're going to get really back to basics with a Micron PN, a pencil, and a tortillon, and this time we're working with a Zentangle apprentice tile. And I'm going to begin with my traditional, or our traditional, dots in the corners.
I love the way Rick does this. It's got such purpose and importance. Doesn't rush through his steps.
For me, this is really setting up the space, and I rotate the tile for each border section, and it really gets me into the deliberateness of the project. So this tangle is going to be a mono-tangle. We're going to work with Diva Dance, 2 versions of it. One is going to be, now that I've got the border there, I will totally ignore it. And I'm just going to start a straight Diva Dance from one side to the other side. And I'm doing this wavy line, and if you want to learn more about Diva Dance, you can find it in one of our newsletters that we give quite a few step outs, and also I think we have a step out for this on the app. And essentially there are these sections that just have these little, I don't know what
Bump
you call
outs.
them.
Bump
Bump outs.
outs.
We'll go with bump outs. And it can be on either side, and they're just randomly there. And you make a bump out and you fill it in wherever you feel that this needs a bump out. So,
This tangle is all about the aura.
yes, because the next thing we're going to do is put a line right next to that. Well, that wasn't right next to that, and you'll see how cool it is when it isn't next to that, because the end result is that all of the lines, and this is how I match the lines up. I just sort of, if I have to splice a line, as it were, I retrace it just ever so. But the effect of Diva Dance is that the space of the aura is always the same. So you can make a bump out by adding some black or just bumping out the line and then going, excuse me, going back in and putting in the aura so it matches and then filling in the difference. And you just do that over and over again and back and forth, and that is Diva Dance. So this is Diva Dance in a straight line. Just taking my time and enjoying the pen and the ink and filling that space in. And I'll just do this quite a few times. This a little close-up here. After I have that bump out, I'm just going to go back in, put in an aura, and then fill that little space in.
Ricky's the king of Diva Dance. His Diva Dance is so beautiful.
So we did this. You can do it, well, we'll show you a little bit later. We do it in another way on this tile. But it's a really nice rhythm, and you'll see this pattern a lot of times in nature in wood grains, or next time you have a cabbage and you cut it in the middle, look at the pattern that the cabbage makes, and it's this. It's really neat. So I've put down a few of these horizontal lines. I'm now going to do Diva Dance in a spiral. So I'm just going to start in this space.
This is called Diva Dance Rock and Roll.
So we're going to rock and roll around this, but every now and then I'm just going to do one of those bump outs. And when I get my finger out of the way, you can see what's going on. And then I go back in, and just as we did in the straight lines, fill in, or aura, and fill that space in. And we're just going to do that. And the intention is I'm going to go back and forth with the circular Diva Dance and the linear Diva Dance. And at some point, we're going to introduce a new little element here to diva dance, and they're going to begin to overlap in a Hollibaugh fashion. So just being really deliberate, enjoying this. And this pen works really nice on this paper. I'm really enjoying this. Always rotating your tile. So, or I rotate my tile so my strokes are in a really comfortable position for my hand. So I'm going to draw this, and as I come around, I'm going to do what we just came up with this word. We're going to sproing. So these little sproings are going to come out, but then they'll retrace themselves back, auraing it, or re-auraing their way back to that center, and keeping that similar gap. So you'll notice the gap of the aura and the gaps of the sproings are all pretty much the same. And if they really get out of whack, well, you just make it one of those bump outs. So this is a really awesomely forgiving tangle as well. And just making this up and deciding what's going to go where. Now, notice what happens when we come up to a sproing. I'm just going to continue as if I'm just going to aura and go behind it in a Hollibaugh fashion. So we've got pretty much auraing and Hollibaughing going on here. Go back in there and fill that in. And this gives us a really nice mix of light and dark. So you've got these beautiful dark spaces just calling out, but they come in and out of that line so elegantly. This is a really fun tangle.
This tangle was created for I Am the Diva for one of her, I think it's like her 100th
One of her
posts.
anniversaries.
Yeah, one of the
her
anniversaries.
I Am the Diva blog spot. So we'll just come out with a sproing, and now we're going to work our way down to those horizontal lines with the idea that as the spiral grows, the sproings will get closer to that line, and then the line will start to interweave, or those sproings will start to interweave. And that's a really fun effect as well. So I'm just going around here, and I think you're getting the idea of how this goes. It's certainly not something you can plan, because the bump outs and the sproings are all very spur of the moment.
I love that technical term, sproing. How do you spell that?
Well, for the moment, we'll spell it S-P-R-O-I-N-G.
That sounds about right.
Right? Yeah. And that may change.
As we're wont to do.
Right?
Oh, look how it interacts with that straight line.
So
Diva dance.
now you can see that we're going back, by going back and forth with the straight lines and the sproings, there's this sense of interweaving. And please excuse me, I reset the camera and did not reset the fixed focus. So but I think you get the idea of what I'm doing here. What's the key is just going back and forth and always drawing behind. And that's really it. And I had sort of a logic. I decided I would do that back and forth until the horizontal line, or the straight line, started to get close to the circular line, and I would stop and not let it touch. So there I am drawing a sproing behind, and then just coming up and continuing around, always drawing behind.
It looks like some sort of a creature has arrived and is claiming space here.
Yes. So I decided to actually use the border in this case. So the the circular part, I'm drawing behind the border, but the sproings and the straight part are going over the border. So just made that up on the spur of the moment as I was doing
The
it.
sproing of the moment.
At the spring of the moment. We're going to be a new word here in the lexicon.
We keep saying it so they'll remember it.
Okay, so let's do a couple more on the horizontal here. I really love the immediacy of this tangle. Meaning, you really just decide when to bump out and when to sproing.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
So I'm maintaining the integrity of the border for the circular part. Here another sproing goes behind. And you'll see I actually trace it in the air because I like to make it so that it looks like it's a natural curve instead of just eyeballing it. I just go around maybe 1 or 2 more times, add a couple more on the horizontal or the straight one. I think we're getting pretty close there. Got a couple more little bits. I was thinking, what am I going to do with my chop? So I'm going to actually embed the chop in and then take one of the Diva Dance's lines and just go around it. Maybe it's like a pearl and an oyster there. Fill a few more bits in. I think we're pretty close here. So I'm going to do a little bit of shading, and I'm just going to emphasize the sproings being over what goes behind it. So I did that all the way around, and I didn't really pay attention to where the light might be coming from. I just did it to the right all the way around. Touch it up with the tortillon, and I'm going to emphasize the circular part going under the border by shading that to just give that suggestion. And then I put some shading on the straight piece, which also goes over the border. Just playing around. Added my chop, put some shading there, and I think we got it.
Good to go.
Diva dancing.
Rock and rolling, sproinging,
And sproinging,
yeah.
yes. So thanks for hanging out. We look forward to seeing what you create. And please post it on the app or just go to the app and see what people are posting. And these are the hashtags that we're using. And we will see you
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Have fun.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.